Was there a particular experience that happened, or was there something that got you involved in thinking differently about civil rights and either growing up in the South or things that you had seen? When did that shift happen for you?
I don't think I could identify a particular moment. There was never a traumatic event. I've had more traumatic events in the state of Washington than I had growing up as a child in the state of Florida. Such things as housing. No, I think it is a matter of maturation, which is incident to improvement in communications, improvement in travel, the development of television, for example, then earlier the prevalence of radio and the print media that would call attention to things that were happening elsewhere in other communities and other places in the world. I think it was just a natural progression. But one of the things that makes a difference is, I think, the nurturing that one gets from one's own parents. And both my mother and my father, fairly simple people. My father was illiterate in English and semi-literate in Spanish. And my mother was not even a high school graduate. But they impressed on us our personal dignity and our personal worth. And I never had the feeling at any time growing up, and I can recall back as early as 18 months of age, I can never recall believing that anybody else was any better than I was. And somehow or the other, in the nurturing that I got from my parents, and I'm sure my siblings got from our parents, was that nobody is any better than you are, and you can do what you want to do. The sky is the limit. Now, with an attitude like that, it's somewhat simplistic, I recognize. But with an attitude like that, one would not allow a segregated educational system to hold you down. And in the worst evil in the segregated educational system was the per capita expenditure per student. And studies were made that showed, for example, that the per capita expenditure for a white student in Florida was $1,000 a year, and for a black student in Florida was $200 a year. And looking at research of that nature and looking back on it, you could see the disparity and the inequity in it. But as I was growing up as part of that, I had no idea about comparative expenditure for education. And one of the segregation laws in the state of Florida that I later became aware of was a law that prohibited blacks from teaching whites and whites from teaching blacks, and blacks and whites going to school in the same school. And that was a law in the state of Florida. It's no longer the law there. But while I grew up in that in my early years, I had absolutely no idea what the law was. And I didn't know why the schools I attended were all black and why all the teachers were black. And I didn't know why downtown the white school was a larger building, and all of these things. And as a child growing up, you really are not conscious or aware of a lot of those things, and you just move on and you keep growing. It's sort of like the physical development of reaching puberty and adulthood. It just happens. And so you keep moving, and then all of a sudden, voila, there it is. A different world than I thought it was when I was growing up. And so I don't know. It's simply a matter, I think, of maturity more than anything else.